Is anyone out there have an easy life? I have to ask a question. I do. Because I'm not so sure, I'm not so certain that everyone has a life that's not so easy. I know this much. There are people who have easier lives than others. Like the song says, we all have our problems, some big, some small. And it also says that we all have a cross. I'll tell you something about this shit. It's an uphill climb. For a lot of us, it's an uphill climb. It's like finding yourself in an ocean or some shit, a large body of water, and not having time to just relax, because the shore is far off someplace, you know? And some people don't live their life in this way. They're just like, well, fuck it, I'm in the middle of the fucking ocean someplace, so to speak, and I'm just gonna fucking just say fuck it. Fuck trying to say, well, hell, let's make it to shore, or let's make it to this, let's make it to that, let's just enjoy the moment, you know, live for the weekend. And then another year passes and you're doing more doggy pedaling than you was a year before, and so on and so forth, and procrastinating on this and that, and that you need to address, and keeps compounding. Some people didn't have the best start in life, and so, well, here you go. It's time now, go out there and do your thing, you're on your own now. I'm like, well, shit, I didn't have this advantage, I didn't have that advantage. Matter of fact, I had X advantages, and on top of it, I'm a statistic, you know? That's what I was destined to be. When I was born, they said, you're a statistic. It turns out they are statistics, and that's what they go on to be. Now, they have to do quite a bit of doggy paddling and so on and so forth to get the fuck out of that situation. They didn't get a GED, let alone a high school diploma. So now they got to pick themselves up at the bootstraps. And you may find some of those people right here at this bus stop where I'm at right now. We fit that bill. You know? And you don't have time really to take a break a lot of times. You know, get some sleep, you wake up, you thrust back into it again. Start doggy pedaling, or just stop altogether entirely, or do something besides doggy pedal, like make yourself to shore or some other shit, some kind of buoy device out there in the ocean someplace, find it. So is life easy for you? Because it may be a lot easier for you than it is for others. All you people out there listening. You know? And again, maybe you have your own problems. Maybe you got some kind of disease or something like that. You got all the fucking money that if you could buy a new fucking whatever it is you need, you can buy the motherfucker. New leg, new whatever it is that's fucking ailing you. Well, yeah. I guess a lot of problems can be rectified by money, right? For a lot of people. Otherwise, the lottery wouldn't be such a hit now, would it? So what's my problem this morning? It's the 14th of August, I believe, yeah? 2026. Pick one. Pick one. You don't have fucking problems? You walk around trying to act like you ain't got no fucking problems? Somebody asks you how it's going, you say it's all good? They don't want to hear your fucking problems, because they got their own fucking problems. So you say, I can complain, but why bother? Nobody wants to hear about it, right? So am I complaining to you? I'm not. I'm talking about a universal collective. Everybody's got a fucking problem. I didn't tell you my problems this morning. I just told you what they might be. Hey, have a good day. One problem I might have, that a lot of you may have, is that you may feel like you get singled out sometimes, right? Like somebody, let's say for instance, is standing at a door and people are coming in, they're passing, you pass, and all of a sudden they see you, or maybe they see you at a distance and already got something plotted for you. I'm like, oh, what the fuck is that? By the time you get there, they got a whole special thing for you, and you don't pass. Based on whatever it is they tripping on. Pre-prejudice you for some reason or another. Maybe because you're not black. Maybe because you're white. And they go, oh shit, here we go. Let's start in with this white motherfucker. Everybody else is black, you're fucking white. They all passed in, and now we got something to say to your white ass about something or another. And you're like, come on, man. What's up with the white man's burden? Like I said, some people are born statistic. They're not born black and having every advantage in fucking America and the world at large. As something that goes along with them. It says, here's your advantage card, you know? Like Chris Rock once said, hey, I'm doing a hell of a goddamn job out here. I'm rich, I'm handsome, I'm famous. And anybody would be willing to trade places with me, right? Even that white boy over there busting the tables at the restaurant I'm over here fucking goddamn trading places in. We can go on about this shit for days. All kind of shit we can go on about. We can get off that and get on some other shit. In our community, around the globe, we all got our problems. So, what do you propose we do? What's the solution? I tell you, if Teal Swan is doing a part, she's playing a part, she's making a dent in it, that's great. If she's not at least making a dent in the problem and offering a solution to some extent or another, then why bother? I guess, like they say, it's not about perfection, as if to say all or nothing. It's not about saying, well, shit, we have no problems, we have no darkness, all we have is light. All we have no light, all we have is darkness. At least on this realm, at least until we get to that point, I guess it's not about that. I could have bigger problems, worse problems. Personally, speaking about my own problems, I get around okay at 51. It could be much worse. Whatever problems I have, financially speaking, socioeconomically speaking in general, it's not to the point where it's so all-consuming that I just can't perceive in my mind is find a light at the end of the tunnel. I can see where there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, there are solutions. And to tell you the truth, it could be much worse. I see cases out there that are much worse, much hard luck cases. But I'm not really generally one of those people who want to grade myself on someone else's grade, you know? Like if you're making F's, I say, well, shit, I'm making C's. Am I happy with the C's? Am I complacent and satisfied with the C's? No, I'm not. I only am because you're making F's, so I grade myself by that. Well, they're making F's, so I'm making C's. Or you're making A's, you know, and vice versa. So now I've got to make A's. Well, maybe I don't really desire to make A's. Maybe A's aren't really my fucking cards. You know, so you're doing much better and you're doing much worse. That's not really a measure for things. You know? It's kind of like, well, what do you want to do, right? Besides judge yourself and where you're at in life based on what somebody else is doing or not doing. What's up? See, like this one right here, she's got a little bit of a limp going on this morning. Could be much worse. And a lot of times, it's like you have choices that you can make and you don't make those choices. Or you do make those choices. And it brings and presents another set of challenges and so on and so forth. Like, let's say right now, and for quite some time now, I've been doing public transportation. Now, I'm not going to go out there and get a Mercedes-Benz by no means. I don't know how I'm going to do that right here and now, not without applying myself and making it happen. I don't even want a Mercedes-Benz, to tell you the truth. You know, that's where I'm at with the whole hey, somebody's doing better than me, I guess, in how you look at it. That's the way to look at it. And most people say if they got a Mercedes-Benz and you've got a Ford, then they're doing better than you, just off of what it's supposed to be out here, culturally speaking. Well, I'll be like, that's great. I'll settle for a Toyota. And I really don't desire a Mercedes-Benz. You know? So I guess we could strike that, but yeah, I guess I could go out there and apply myself and get me a $2,000 used car or something if I really wanted to make that happen. But yet I find myself sufficing it to be just to settle at this public transportation thing. Well, maybe that'll pass eventually. I'll go out there and apply myself and I'll get me a used car. Make something happen. Cut some corners, cross some corners, and whatever it is you do at corners. You know, but isn't that a trip? So why bitch about public transportation? I'm not really bitching about it. Maybe I ought to start bitching about it. Why do people have an issue with you bitching about things? Why do people have an issue with saying people are complaining about things? That's the first step, if you ask me, to understanding that you're not happy. You're disenchanted, disenfranchised. You're not content with the situation that you're in. You know? And maybe black folks ought to stop complaining all the time about getting a black card and not having a white card. Because there are many things like you can do this day. Like we just said a moment ago. Like if I wanted to really apply myself and get me a used car, you know, if nothing else, I can get a used car and really apply myself and make that happen. Which presents a whole nother set of things that you got to be responsible for, like gas, maintenance, and all that shit that goes with that. You know, being out there on the road with these nutcases out here, road raging, and all the rest of it. Oh shit, it's a $2,000 car, $2,000 automobile. Did you get a good one though? Because if you didn't get a good one, you know, that's $2,000. But yeah, that motherfucker be in the shop a lot. You know, extra expenses, all kind of shit. But yeah, you can do all kind of things out here as black folks. You really can. There's really no excuse, even though there are excuses. You can say, well, I didn't get this, I didn't get that, and I had to, you know, you tell me I have to work harder and all the rest of it, and I have to apply myself more. And I came from a underprivileged, fucking disadvantaged situation. Most of us, many of us, and I shouldn't say most, but many of us, right? Most of us, yeah. We're on the bottom of the totem pole, you know, all that good shit. But there are solutions, there are fucking ways. You got books out there for days. And eventually they gotta open up the motherfucking, they gotta open up something to you and say, well shit, well, we're not gonna place you right here as fucking the president of this shit over here, but you got so many things going on, you know, we gotta let you in somehow, some way. Because you just got too much going on to say that you're expendable. So really, what am I complaining about? Maybe I'm like Guns N' Roses from that song. I just want it so fucking easy. Maybe I feel like I ought to have it so fucking easy. Maybe I'm on some other shit altogether entirely. Maybe I'm not quite like you. Maybe I really am from Hawaii and I'm not some fucking nutcase. And I feel like this is one of my recurring lifetimes and I'm down here once again. And I find myself disenfranchised with the whole thing. I really believe that. Can you imagine that? To believe in your heart of hearts to the point where it is real, and it may very well just be just real. And I understand that it is real, but you don't understand that. That this isn't even really my fucking goddamn grind and my fucking walk. And yet, I've taken on a responsibility to come down here and do this shit. For a greater cause, a more collective cause and purpose. But that's a whole nother can of worms that kind of throws us off in the deep end for a lot of people who says, yeah, I was with him right up until that point. But let me tell you, man, Jesus and many others, Siddhartha, you know, when he ended up merging with the Buddha, and Jesus who ended up merging with the Christ heart, they were born of women. You know, they ate, they slept, they ate, they ailed, they laughed, they cried. Jesus wept. How else the fuck are we supposed to get here? We're supposed to just go in spirit without a temple to abide in? Are we supposed to just beam down from fucking wherever it is and say, I'm from Krypton? I'm from Krypton. You know, I don't have to strive and nothing. I'm impervious and invincible to all things. Nah, man. It's not how it works. The Lord works in mysterious ways. And that's how it works. So far. That's how it worked, and that's how it's working right now today. So you have so many things going on right now. It's another thing with me. I see it differently, you know? I just do. I know of so many things, I have knowledge of so many things that I just see things differently. I don't see it the way I used to see it formerly. And I'll never be able to see it that way again, as far as I know. I don't like to speak in definitives, but as far as I can see, I don't think I ever go back to my former origins, where I just saw it the way that I saw it before I came across all this information about light workers and some mission going on with the Lord once again. He's back at it again. The Bible's reopened. And we have aliens and all that. This is a very real reality for me, you know, that I'm not just Anthony, born out of East St. Louis, Illinois. And there's nothing more to it than that. And even if that's all there was to it, there's quite a bit to it. But there seems to be that and some more stuff going on. So I just can't, and I never will, as far as I know, be able to go back to the world where it was just about getting up in the morning or going through the day and striving for whatever it is I was striving for prior to. You know? I always have this thing looming over my head that says there's a bigger purpose going on here, or a much larger purpose. Matter of fact, my life it's kind of worked that way. And as I look back at it, I'm like, oh, and that all makes sense now. You know, I guess I'm one of those people, one of those individuals. I don't guess, I know. I'm one of those individuals, you know. It's a trip. I remember this lady, and I was out in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, and I was just walking. And I don't know what happened to her, but something took a hold of her, and she just said something to me. She's just walking by. I was on the side of the road, and she says, what'd she say to me? She says, you have a higher purpose in life. This is not an isolated situation. Weird shit like this happens to me, or just things like this happen to me, you know? And to the point where you see a tapestry there, and you say, well, I guess that's what it is then, you know? She's like, yeah, you have a higher purpose in life. I was like, what's that? Because I'm looking for things. I'm always looking for signs. I'm looking for things like that. And when they come, I'm like, okay, this is time for me to, you know, listen, I guess. Maybe it's just some random shit sometimes. Maybe sometimes it's very much by divine design. Is there any difference, really? Maybe there is. But I was like, what is that? She's like, God's work. I was like, really? And I wanted to ask more about it. But the way she did it, the way she came off about it, she seemed more like an authority. Like she wasn't quite herself. Like maybe some angel or something, like Krylon does with Lee Carroll, jumped inside of her and imparted that message to me real quick, real briefly, and just kept on her fucking way. But she didn't expound upon it. Just like you have a higher purpose in life. I'm like, what is that? She's like, God's work. I tell you, there's probably no better place to be. It's probably quite the privileged place to be. But with this privilege comes a lot of sacrifice. It's not all what it's cracked up to be. You know, I don't have manna coming down out of the goddamn heavens. Although I had cookies that manifest out of nowhere one time. And I guess you say, well, why are you complaining about that? That's quite a testimony. You said as if you were complaining. I'm not. I just said it with emphasis because I'm trying to emphasize that it was one time. It's not happening every day, all day. If it was, I'd have a little to complain about when it comes to finances. You'd be like, oh, well, shit, here's the man that can make $100 anytime he's ready to make $100. Say, hey, look, man, let's get this understood, right? Here's my... this guy that works with me, he's making everything copacetic, and somebody, look, you can get somebody, look, somebody's gonna hold the money. Look, we're gonna make sure that everything's fair. This is not three-card money, right? We make sure that everything's fair. Now listen, if I pull fucking some cookies out of mid-goddamn air, all right, That's $100 I get. Now, this ain't no David Copperfield shit, you know what I mean? I want you to understand it, right? I'm not, there's no trickery going on here. I want this shit to manifest out of fucking midair, you know? You should see it, I can see it, you can confirm it, you understand it? If not, then I'll give you fucking 10 times that much. And here's the money right here. That's $100 every fucking day. You say, well, you're thinking small, you know? Typical for a burrhead. Why don't you get in a big business? Big business! Big money, you know. So take Oreo out of business. Oreo cookies, take them out of business, man. Wipe them out, clean them out. Your overhead is jack shit, man. You just pull the cookies out of nowhere like Charlie, Willy Wonka's family, whatever his name was, Willy Wonka's factory. And nobody can compete like that wine that Jesus was blessed to have at that wedding, when he popped off one of his first miracles in front of the people, before the people. But that was a walk. This is the walk. There's all kind of walks. I think Gandhi had a walk. Never heard about him, you know, doing some miraculous stuff or whatever, any more than just his intestinal fortitude, his gumption. You never heard of anything that was like outside of the laws of physics that he did so miraculous. But he's a bit of a miracle worker. He's a hell of a fucking man. I think he was an ascended master. We got on all kind of things, right? But what was his problem? Let's bring it back to problems. And what did he say? He said, man, I'm sick of it. I'm on the bus. I paid my fucking fare. Or the train, rather. I paid my fare. You come over there and tell me to get my black ass to the section where the niggers go. You know, and he came from a well family, financially speaking. He went out to become put it into work and everything else to become an attorney. And at that time, he had already graduated and was ready to go out there and do big things in law. And he ended up using that education and everything, that knowledge, to, in that moment, in that night, when he got kicked off that train, he sat there at the train station and stewed about it. And that's when he just had this transformation. Something told him, look, man, you got another walk, you know. He was complaining. He was unhappy. He was disenfranchised. And the rest is history. What became of that? So why do we say, well, why the fuck are you complaining? We should encourage people to complain. Maybe they complain enough, they'll understand that they're not happy. Are you happy? Are you content? You know, you come out here and you say, well, shit, yeah, it could be much worse. And it could be. That's another form of complacency as well. An excuse for a cop-out. Because you can also certainly say it can be much better. And I guess that's what we use as a dynamic with other people. We say, well, shit, it could be much worse. And it helps us keep a little sane about our situation. And at the same token, we see other people and say, well, shit, it could be much better. But I guess at the end of the day, look, yeah, I've got my own goddamn problems. Trust me. Not everything is what it seems. Huh? I've got a suit I purchased the other day. I could put that suit on and walk out here and you don't know me from fucking Joe Blow. And you may think, oh, this guy, you know, he's really got this going on. He's really got it going on and all this other stuff. Really? You think I have such little problems? And I'm not saying I don't. Maybe I do have it going on, you know. Maybe Siddhartha had it going on, you know, the one who eventually went on to find Nirvana and merged with the Buddha. Maybe he had it going on. But that was a long-term thing. I'm pretty sure he wasn't enjoying all that fucking emaciation that he was going through. That starvation, that sacrifice he was going through. And then again, I could be wrong. Maybe he enjoyed the fuck out of it. Maybe he enjoyed living off of 1 grain of rice for I don't know how many goddamn days. Consecutive days. To the fucking point you can see the bones in your fucking bones. He's got it going on. He's chosen. Yeah, aren't we so fucking envious? I mean, yeah, we want to be chosen, don't we? Look at Jesus, he was chosen. Oh, Father, please, I don't want to get my black ass up on this cross and perish. Oh, shit, I'm so scared. Please take this cross from me, if you will. If it is thy will, thy will be done. So I guess he chose God's will, according to the book. I don't think he had a fucking choice. Maybe he did. The tens of thousands of angels, and that's about the fuck all he had. Short of that, I was one fucking goddamn crucified. Probably. I mean, to make light of it, but hey, I know Jesus. Jesus knows me. He knows where my heart's at. Gotta find the humor in all things, right? It's hilarious.